Who is richer? A corporate executive who makes $250,000 a year but spends $250,000 a year? Or a graphic designer who makes $60,000 but lives happily on $35,000? Most of us are like the first man. We are obsessed with making more money, but our habits are a leaky bucket. Earning more doesn't make us rich. It just speeds up the waste. In this video, we aren't going to teach you how to ask for a raise or start a crazy side hustle. Instead, we are going to dive into a 100-year-old Japanese secret called Kakeibo. It's a mindless spending killer used by secret household CFOs to save up to 35% of their income without feeling miserable. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to patch the holes in your bucket and finally buy your freedom. Master your money, the Japanese art of Kakeibo. Chapter 1. The Tale of Two Storms. Imagine a dark, heavy rainstorm sweeping across a vast valley. The wind is howling, and the rain is pouring down in sheets. In the middle of this storm stand two men, side by side, facing the weather. Their goal is simple: collect as much water as possible. The first man is named Arthur. Arthur is a loud, energetic, and incredibly hard-working man. He is holding a truly massive bucket. It is so large that it takes both of his arms just to balance it. When the storm begins, water pours into Arthur's giant bucket at a furious pace. To any outsider looking on, Arthur appears to be winning the game. He looks like the most successful man in the valley. But Arthur's giant bucket has a hidden, fatal flaw. The bottom is drilled full of 100 tiny, jagged holes. As the rain pours into the top of the bucket, streams of water shoot out of the bottom just as fast. Arthur notices the water level dropping, and panic sets in. He begins running around frantically in the mud, screaming, sweating, and chasing every heavy downpour, trying desperately to outrun the leaks. He works himself to the point of utter exhaustion. When the storm finally passes and the clouds clear, Arthur stops and looks inside his magnificent bucket. It is completely, bone-dry empty. Despite all his furious effort, his frantic running, and the massive amount of water that passed through his hands, he has absolutely nothing left to show for it. He sits in the mud, exhausted, deeply stressed, and completely broke. Right next to him stands the second man, named Kenji. Kenji is a quiet, calm, and deliberate man. He does not own a massive bucket. Instead, he holds a very modest, small cup. If you saw him standing next to Arthur, you would probably feel sorry for him. You might think he is failing. But Kenji's small cup is forged from solid, heavy steel. It has absolutely no holes, no cracks, and no leaks. The rain over Kenji's head is not a heavy downpour. It is just a light, steady drizzle. His cup fills up slowly, drop by single drop. But because his cup is perfectly sealed, Kenji keeps every single drop that falls into it. Not a single molecule of water is wasted. When his small cup fills up to the very brim, Kenji calmly walks over to the edge of his field and pours the water into a large wooden barrel. When that barrel is full, he closes the lid and begins filling a second barrel. He never runs, he never panics, and he never sweats. When the storm ends, the reality of the situation becomes clear to the entire valley. Arthur, the man with the giant, leaking bucket, is on his knees. He is begging strangers for a single sip of water just to survive. Meanwhile, Kenji, the man with the small, solid cup, is sitting back under the sunshine, completely relaxed and secure. He has barrels upon barrels of clean water stored away. Kenji is truly wealthy. The stormwater metaphor. Arthur's leaky bucket, high income, plus high waste, equals $0. Kenji's solid cup, modest income, plus zero waste, equals wealth. Lesson: wealth is not what you make, it is what you keep. This story illustrates the exact financial illusion of our modern world. Today, our culture is completely, pathologically obsessed with income. We are constantly bombarded by voices, advertisements, and social media influencers telling us that the ultimate solution to all our life problems is to make more money. We tell ourselves, if I can just get that 20% raise, if I can just land that corporate promotion, or if I can just launch a successful side business, my financial anxiety will vanish forever. But making more money when you have bad spending habits is exactly like pouring water into Arthur's leaking bucket. You do not actually build wealth. You do not buy security. You simply speed up the velocity of your waste. If you do not take the time to patch the holes in your financial bucket first, earning a higher salary will only cause you to live a more expensive life, leaving you just as trapped and stressed as you were when you earned a minimum wage. To fix your financial life, you must stop looking at the sky for more rain. You must start looking down at your hands to inspect your bucket. Chapter 2. The Journalist and the Birth of Kakeibo. To understand how we can patch these leaks, we have to travel back in time to a beautiful chapter in history. Let us journey to Japan in the year 1904. During this era, Japan was undergoing an incredibly rapid transformation into a modern, industrialized nation. Factories were rising, cities were expanding, and for the first time, everyday citizens were dealing with the fast-paced anxieties of a modern cash economy. Amidst this cultural explosion lived a remarkable woman named Hani Motoko. Hani Motoko was a true pioneer. She shattered cultural glass ceilings to become Japan's very first female journalist. Through her work, she traveled across the country, interviewing thousands of everyday families, working-class laborers, and struggling mothers. As she listened to their stories, she noticed a profound, universal patterns of anxiety. People were constantly stressed about money. They felt that their hard-earned wages were slipping through their fingers like sand, and they had no idea where it was all going. Motoko realized that people didn't need a complex degree in economics to fix their lives. They needed a simple, daily spiritual practice that would bring awareness to their material choices. In 1904, she published a revolutionary concept in a popular women's magazine. She called it Kakeibo, pronounced Kakeibo. Translated into English, Kakeibo literally means household financial ledger. The Kakeibo philosophy. A pen plus a notebook. Mindful awareness. True self-control. Financial freedom. Let us clarify something of vital importance right now. Kakeibo is not an app that you download onto an iPhone. It is not an automated piece of financial software, and it is not a colorful Excel spreadsheet filled with complex math formulas. Kakeibo is a physical notebook and a physical pen. It is a slow, quiet, and deeply meditative practice that forces you to sit down in a silent room and look your daily behavior directly in the eye. For well over a century, this elegant notebook system has been the quiet, foundational secret weapon of Japanese families. In traditional Japanese culture, housewives were not pushed to the side regarding finances. Instead, they were respected as the absolute chief financial officers, CFOs, of the home. Armed with nothing but a simple Kakeibo ledger and a pen, these women managed modest, average household salaries so beautifully that they routinely saved up to 35% of their family's total income every single month. They didn't do this by sacrificing their happiness or living in misery. They did it by eliminating unconscious waste. The art of Kakeibo is designed to help you do the exact same thing today. It teaches you how to step off the financial hamster wheel and build real, lasting wealth. It does this not by teaching you how to hustle your way into a CEO's salary, but by guiding you to develop the calm, intentional, and unbreakable discipline of a monk. Chapter 3. The Trap of Invisible Money. To understand why Kakeibo is so deeply necessary today, we must examine a modern psychological crisis, the phenomenon of invisible money. The story of Sarah's seamless Saturday. To see this crisis in action, let us look at a typical day in the life of a modern corporate worker named Sarah. Sarah is an intelligent, capable woman who earns an excellent salary of $85,000 a year. Yet, every single month, she looks at her bank account and wonders why she has zero savings. She never buys giant luxury items, so where is the money going? Let us follow Sarah on a regular Saturday morning. 8:30 a.m. Sarah walks to the local cafe. She is listening to a podcast, completely distracted. She walks up to the counter, orders a premium vanilla latte and an avocado toast. She doesn't reach for a wallet. She simply holds her Apple Watch near a digital screen. Beep. The transaction takes 0.5 seconds. Sarah walks out. She has just spent $16.50, but her brain felt absolutely nothing. 11:15 a.m. Sarah is sitting on her couch. A trendy clothing advertisement pops up on her Instagram feed. She clicks it. She likes a sweater. Because her credit card information is automatically saved into her phone, she does not have to type out numbers. She simply uses her thumbprint to authorize an Amazon-style one-click buy. Click. $75 gone. She goes back to scrolling. 2:30 p.m. Sarah needs to go meet a friend downtown. Instead of walking 20 minutes or taking the public bus, she opens a ride-sharing app. She taps a button. A car arrives, drops her off, and she walks out of the vehicle without ever pulling out a wallet. The app charges her account $24 automatically. 11 p.m. Sarah goes to bed. If you asked her right then exactly how much money she spent that day, her brain would honestly guess around $30 or $40. In reality, she spent $115.50. The frictionless spending loop. Distracted action. Digital tap. 0% brain pain. Wealth leak. Why is Sarah completely blind to her own spending? Because our society has systematically engineered all friction out of the marketplace. Global megacorporations and financial technology companies spend billions of dollars studying the human brain for one specific reason. They want to remove every single hurdle, delay, and psychological speed bump between your desire to buy an object and the transfer of your money. They want you to spend your cash completely on autopilot, without your conscious mind ever waking up to realize what you have done. Neurologists and psychologists have performed fascinating experiments on human buying habits. They placed individuals inside brain scanning machines and watched their neural activity while they made purchases. They discovered that when an individual is forced to hand over a crisp, physical cash bill to buy an item, the pain centers of their brain, the exact same areas that light up when you stub your toe or burn your tongue, actually fire up. This is a profound psychological reality known as the pain of paying. Your biological brain physically registers the loss of physical cash as an actual injury. But when you swipe a plastic credit card, tap your phone, or use a smartwatch, the brain scans reveal something chilling. The pain centers remain completely silent. The natural biological brakes of your mind are completely numbed. You experience a quick hit of pleasure from receiving a new item, but you feel absolutely zero financial pain in the moment. You do not feel the true weight of the loss until weeks later when you open your monthly bank statement. But by then, it is far too late. The money has already leaked out of your bucket, and you cannot get it back. Kakeibo is the radical act of reintroducing healthy friction into your life. It breaks the digital spell by forcing you to write down every single expense by hand with a pen. Think about how this changes your psychology. When Sarah simply taps her watch for a latte, it takes half a second, and she forgets it instantly. But under the Kakeibo system, Sarah must sit down at her desk that evening, open her physical journal, and manually write. Latte and toast, $16.50. This simple act forces her brain to pause. It slows down the transaction. As she feels the physical resistance of the pen moving across the paper, her mind is forced to process the reality of her choice. She begins to ask herself, was that brief, distracted cafe visit truly worth the manual effort of writing this down? Was it worth using up the ink in my pen? Was it worth the hours of life energy I traded away at my stressful job to earn that $16.50? Suddenly, the invisible digital numbers on your screen become visible, heavy reality. You wake up to the truth. Kakeibo transforms personal finance from a mindless, destructive habit into a deeply mindful, empowering practice. Chapter 4. The 4 Pillars of Kakeibo. The brilliance of Kakeibo is its absolute simplicity. It does not require you to understand corporate accounting or advanced mathematics. Instead, The entire system relies on you answering 4 fundamental questions at the very beginning of every single month. On the first day of the month, you sit down in a quiet place, open your notebook, and write down clear, honest answers to these 4 core questions. The 4 questions of Kakeibo. 1. How much money do I have available? True monthly income. 2. How much money would I like to save? Your fixed goal. 3. How much money must I spend? Fixed survival expenses. 4. How can I improve? Your personal promise for the month. Let us look closely at how most people handle their finances. They receive their monthly paycheck. They immediately spend money on their wants, their lifestyle choices, and their entertainment throughout the month. Then, at the very end of the month, they open their bank app to see if there is any money left over to put into savings. Usually, that remaining amount is exactly 0. The Kakeibo method completely flips this standard equation on its head. It uses a strict, beautiful mathematical formula. Income minus savings goal equals spending money. This means you pay yourself first. Let us look at a practical example using a woman named Maria. Maria brings home $4,000 every month after taxes. When she sits down on the first day of the month for her Kakeibo ritual, she answers question 1. I have $4,000 available. She then looks at question 2 and sets an intentional savings goal. I want to save $600 this month. Before she spends a single dollar on clothes, cafes, or entertainment, Maria takes that $600 and physically moves it into a separate, locked savings account. Now, that money is completely dead to her. She pretends it does not exist. She takes it out of her mind entirely. She is now forced to survive the rest of the month on the remaining $3,400. This technique creates a psychological state of artificial scarcity. When your brain looks at your available budget and sees a smaller number, your internal survival instincts activate. You automatically become far more creative, resourceful, and careful. You naturally stop wasting cash on silly things because you know your boundaries are tight. You are forced to prioritize your absolute life needs over your passing whims. A true Kakeibo user never looks at their total checking account balance to see if they can afford an item at a store. Your bank balance is a liar. It is a lie because it still contains your upcoming rent money, your electric bill money, and your future savings. Instead, a Kakeibo practitioner looks only at their designated weekly spending budget. The bank balance is an illusion. The Kakeibo budget is the truth. Chapter 5. The 4 Buckets of Spending. To make tracking your daily life incredibly simple, Kakeibo commands you to divide every single expense into one of 4 distinct, easy-to-understand buckets. You do not need 20 different confusing categories. You only need to understand the true nature of why you are handing over your money. Your total spending. 1. Survival, needs for life. 2. Optional, wants and fun. 3. Culture, mind expansion. 4. Extra, surprises. 1. Survival needs. These are your absolute, non-negotiable life expenses. This bucket contains your rent or mortgage, your raw groceries, your utilities, electricity, water, internet, your essential transport to get to work, and your necessary medical prescriptions. You cannot cut this bucket down to 0 because you need these things to stay alive and healthy. However, you should always look for ways to optimize them, such as cooking simple meals at home instead of buying pre-packaged food. 2. Optional wants. This bucket contains everything that you enjoy but do not actually need to survive. This includes dining at restaurants, ordering takeout, buying fashion clothing, going out for drinks with coworkers, buying video games, or paying for multiple streaming video subscriptions. This bucket is the leak. This is the exact arena where your financial future is either won or lost. 3. Culture, mental enrichment. This is the most beautiful bucket in the Kakeibo system. It includes money spent on books, visiting museums, enrolling in educational courses, watching artistic films, or attending live music performances. The Kakeibo philosophy highly encourages spending money here. Investing capital to expand your mind, learn new skills, and grow as a human being is viewed as a sacred investment, not a waste. However, it must still be tracked with precision. 4. Extra, unplanned expenses. This bucket is reserved for the wild cards and surprises that life inevitably throws at you. It includes an emergency repair for a leaking car tire, a sudden visit to the dentist, replacing a broken smartphone screen, or buying a wedding gift for a close friend. These are the items that you could not have specifically foreseen at the start of the month. The story of David's financial autopsy. To see why daily bucket tracking matters, let us look at a man named David. David used to track his money using a standard smartphone budgeting app. The app would automatically track his credit card swipes and categorize them at the end of the month into complex pie charts. On November 30th, David opened his app and looked at his chart. The app showed a bright red slice that said, "You spent $450 on restaurants, bars this month." David looked at the chart, felt a wave of guilt, closed the app, and went to sleep. The next day, a new month started, and he made the exact same mistakes all over again. Why? Because looking at your spending only at the end of 30 days is like performing an autopsy on a patient. The patient is already dead on the table. You can find out why they died, but you cannot save their life. The two approaches to money. Monthly apps, an autopsy. The patient is already dead. Daily Kakeibo, a checkup, keeps the patient healthy and alive. Kakeibo is a daily checkup that keeps the patient alive. The core ritual happens every single evening before you go to bed. You sit down at your desk for just 3 minutes. You take your receipts from the day, and you write those numbers down into their correct buckets. If David had used Kakeibo, he would have sat down on a Friday evening and written, "Drinks with friends, $80," into his optional bucket. He would have felt a sharp, immediate sting of regret right then, while the memory of the night was still fresh. That specific mental sting acts as a psychological guardrail. It creates a powerful memory that stops him from making the exact same mistake on Saturday night. Daily tracking allows you to adjust your behavior in real time before the month is ruined. Chapter 6. 2 Powerful Japanese Methods to Stop Impulse Buying. The Kakeibo philosophy provides you with 2 highly practical, time-tested tools to help you gain absolute mastery over your impulses. 1. The envelope method, cash stuffing. For your optional wants bucket, the money you use for eating out, shopping, and entertainment, Kakeibo strongly recommends completely abandoning your digital cards and returning to physical cash. At the start of the month, once you calculate your available spending money, you walk to a physical bank and withdraw that exact amount in physical bills. You place that cash directly into a paper envelope labeled optional spending. When you leave your house to go to a bar, a restaurant, or the mall, you leave your credit and debit cards locked inside a drawer at home. You only carry the cash from that envelope. If your envelope becomes completely empty on the 12th day of the month, the fun is over. There is no magic backup plan. You cannot swipe a card, and you cannot run up a digital balance. The physical limit of that paper envelope is absolute. This system retrains your brain through real-world consequences. If you choose to spend your entire monthly fun budget during the first week of the month, you will be forced to spend the next 3 weeks sitting quietly at home. This teaches you a highly memorable, visceral lesson. Next month, you will naturally pace your spending. You cannot cheat the physical reality of an empty envelope. Full envelope, pace spending. True discipline. Empty envelope, 0 purchases. Lesson learned. 2. The 30-day want versus need delay rule. We live in an era designed for instant gratification. If you see a cool new gadget or a beautiful pair of shoes online, you experience an immediate hit of dopamine. You click a button, and it arrives at your house tomorrow. This loop is a financial disaster. Kakeibo breaks this loop by introducing an intentional cooling-off period. When you see a non-essential item that you desperately want to buy, you are completely forbidden from purchasing it on the spot. Instead, you must open your Kakeibo notebook, turn to a special page called your wish list, and write down the name of the item, the retail price, and today's date. Now, you must wait exactly 30 days. During those 30 days, you are not allowed to look at the item or research it online. Once the month has fully passed, you return to your notebook, look at the line, and ask yourself honestly, do I still want this item today with the exact same emotional intensity? Or was I just feeling stressed, bored, or lonely on the day I wrote it down? 90% of the time, you will find that the emotional urge has completely vanished. You will look at the line on the paper and think, wow, what was I thinking? I don't need that at all. You have successfully saved your money by doing absolutely nothing at all. If, after 30 full days, your desire for the item is still just as strong, then you are allowed to buy it with zero guilt. Because you waited, that purchase is now an act of clear intention, not a moment of weak, emotional impulse. Chapter 7. Respect for Things, Monozukuri and Madanai. Why do modern people buy so much useless stuff? It is because our hyper-consumerist economy has trained us to treat everything around us as cheap and completely disposable. The Japanese people possess a beautiful cultural concept called monozukuri, which represents a deep, spiritual respect for physical objects, materials, and human craftsmanship. This is tied directly to another famous phrase, madanai, which represents the deep sense of regret, sorrow, or shame one feels when a valuable resource is thrown away or wasted. The path to contentment. Monozukuri, respect for objects. Plus, madanai, regret over waste. Equals, satisfaction in maintenance, not consumption. When you practice Kakeibo, you begin to change how you interact with the material world. You learn to stop looking for happiness in the act of buying new things, and instead find deep happiness in the act of taking care of what you already own. Before you rush out to a store to buy a brand new pair of sneakers, you sit down on your floor and beautifully polish your old shoes until they shine. Before you spend $1,000 on a brand new smartphone, you completely clean your current phone, delete the old junk files, and polish the screen until it looks like it just came out of the box. By actively caring for your possessions, you extend their life and naturally lower your psychological desire for novelty. The modern economy relies entirely on keeping you constantly dissatisfied with your current life. It wants you to feel like your clothes, your car, and your furniture are never good enough. Kakeibo teaches you the quiet art of contentment through maintenance. Repairing a torn shirt, fixing a broken appliance, or cleaning your old car is a true act of defiance against modern consumerism. It keeps your money inside your pocket, and it transforms you into the master of your material world, rather than a slave to the local shopping mall. Chapter 8. The Monthly Review, Hansei, and Continuous Growth. At the final day of the month, you do not simply close your notebook and forget about it. You must practice Hansei, which translates to deep, honest, and vulnerable self-reflection. You sit down with your Kakeibo ledger and compare the actual amounts of money you spend in each of the 4 buckets against the budget goals you set for yourself on day 1. This is the moment where you must ask yourself the hard questions. Where did I lose control of my spending this month? Why did I spend $300 on casual shopping trips over the last 4 weeks? What was my emotional state when I made those choices? Was I feeling lonely? Was I stressed about my job? Was I trying to impress other people? It is vital to understand that this review is not about beating yourself up, wallowing in shame, or feeling guilty. Shame is a useless emotion that leads to paralysis. Instead, you must act as a calm, objective scientist who is studying your own human behavior. Once you discover the specific emotional triggers that cause you to leak money, you gain absolute power over them. The Kaizen loop of Kakeibo. Identify trigger. Study behavior. Create free alternative. Save cash. For example, if your Hansei review reveals that you always spend large amounts of money on expensive restaurant dinners on Thursday evenings, you can look closer and realize, I do that because Thursday is the most stressful day of my work week, and I am too exhausted to cook. Now that you have isolated the trigger, you can design a strategic solution for next month. You can make sure you have a delicious, simple meal pre-made in your freezer ready to go for Thursday night. Or you can schedule a free, relaxing activity, like a long hot bath, to relieve your stress instead of spending $50 on a restaurant meal. This practice creates a continuous loop of constant improvement, a concept the Japanese call kaizen. Every single month you practice Kakeibo, you become a little bit wiser, a little bit sharper, and a little bit more emotionally intelligent. Eventually, you will reach a beautiful state where you are saving 30%, 40%, or even 50% of your total income every single month, and you won't feel like you are missing out on life at all. You haven't ruined your fun. You have simply stopped the bleeding from your bucket. Chapter 9. Wealth is a ratio, not a number. Here is the ultimate, life-altering secret that truly wealthy people know, but the middle class completely misses. Wealth is never about the size of your income. Wealth is entirely about the size of the gap. The gap is the space between what you earn and what you choose to spend. To see this clearly, let us look at the story of two different corporate professionals living in the same city. The story of Richard and Maya. Richard is a high-powered corporate executive who earns a massive salary of $250,000 every year. He feels incredibly wealthy, so he lives in a massive penthouse apartment with a giant monthly rent, drives a leased luxury sports car, wears designer watches, and vacations at elite resorts. To maintain this high-status lifestyle, Richard spends exactly $250,000 every single year. His actual wealth is exactly $0. He is running on a high-speed financial treadmill. If Richard loses his corporate position or suffers a medical crisis, he will be completely bankrupt within 30 days. He has zero security and no real freedom. He is a slave to his paycheck. Maya works as an intermediate graphic designer at a local firm. She earns a modest, average salary of $60,000 a year. She lives in a small, cozy apartment, drives a reliable used sedan, and uses her Kakeibo notebook to track her daily expenses with care. Maya spends exactly $35,000 a year to live a deeply happy, fulfilling life. This means Maya saves $25,000 every single year. The reality of the gap. Richard earns $250,000, spends $250,000 gap, $0 no freedom. Maya earns $60,000, spends $35,000 gap, $25,000 true wealth. In reality, Maya is infinitely wealthier than Richard. Maya owns her own time. If her boss becomes toxic or her job becomes a source of misery, Maya can calmly walk away without an ounce of fear because she has a massive cushion of cash sitting behind her. Richard cannot walk away. He must endure the toxicity because he has to pay for his luxury car lease next week. Richard owns expensive things, but Maya owns her life. The entire philosophy of Kakeibo is designed to help you widen the size of that gap. You cannot always control your income in life. Getting a raise from a stubborn boss is difficult, and the global job market can be highly unpredictable. But you have absolute, total, 100% control over what you choose to spend today. By intentionally widening your personal gap, you are quite literally purchasing your personal freedom from the world. Every single dollar you save using Kakeibo is not just a dead piece of currency sitting in a bank vault. It is a tiny, invisible employee that you have hired to work for you. When you manage to save $1,000, you have not lost your spending power. Instead, you have just hired 1,000 tiny workers. If you invest those savings wisely, those tiny workers will work for you 24 hours a day, earning interest, growing your pile of wealth, and eventually buying you a day in the future where you do not have to report to a job at all. A Kakeibo practitioner never looks at savings as money I am trapped from spending. They look at their savings ledger and say, that is the exact amount of personal freedom, peace of mind, and sovereignty I have successfully purchased from the world. Chapter 10. Your 7-Day Kakeibo Challenge. Your life is a living ledger. You have been given a strictly limited amount of time on this earth and a limited amount of resources. How are you choosing to spend them? Are you spending your finite life energy on cheap plastic items that will rust, rot, break, and end up in a landfill next year? Or are you spending your resources on memorable experiences, on long-term family security, on true independence, and on absolute peace of mind? Kakeibo is far more than a simple budgeting tool. It acts as a clear, unyielding mirror held up directly to your soul. When you look deeply at your spending history, you see a completely accurate map of your true internal values. If you like to tell your friends and family that my health and my family are the most important things in my life, but your Kakeibo ledger shows that you spent $0 on organic food or family experiences and $500 on impulse online shopping trips, your ledger proves that you are lying to yourself. Kakeibo helps you realign your daily physical spending with your true inner soul. The path to lasting wealth does not start with buying a lucky lottery ticket or finding a magical investment trick. It starts with buying a simple, inexpensive paper notebook and a pen. Here is your official mission. We are challenging you to start a 7-day Kakeibo challenge. The challenge: for the next 7 days, you are completely forbidden from checking your automated digital banking apps. Instead, you must carry a small physical notebook or a slip of paper with you everywhere you go. You must write down every single cent that leaves your hand by hand, using a pen, the very moment you spend it. Morning coffee, $4.50. Car gasoline, $40. Vending machine snack, $2.25. At the exact end of those 7 days, sit down at a quiet table in your home. Take a red pen and circle every single item on your list that was an optional want rather than an absolute survival need. Add up the total financial cost of those red circles. You will be absolutely shocked to discover exactly how much money you are unconsciously setting on fire every single week. True internal awareness is always the very first step toward a life-changing transformation. Take action right now. What is the one small, guilty pleasure expense that quietly drains your wallet of cash every single month? Is it your daily cafe visit? Is it buying extra clothes online that sit in your closet with the tags on? Is it ordering an expensive ride-sharing car when you could easily walk or take the bus? Identify that leak in your bucket, write it down, and commit to your new journey by repeating the sacred vow of Kakeibo. I master my money. My money does not master me. Motivation life lesson from this story. Here are the powerful motivational life lessons we can learn from this story. These lessons are written in simple English to help you apply them to your daily life. Lesson 1. Fix your habits before you try to get more. The story lesson: earning more money when you have bad habits is like pouring water into a bucket with 100 holes. You don't get richer, you just waste money faster. For your life, many people think, if I only had a better job, a bigger salary, or a lucky break, all my problems would disappear. But more resources will not fix a broken lifestyle. If you cannot manage a small amount of money or time today, you will lose a large amount tomorrow. Fix your inner habits first, and the outer success will follow. Lesson 2. Bring back healthy friction to your choices. The story lesson: modern tools make life so easy that we buy things without thinking. Kakeibo forces us to slow down, pick up a pen, and write down our choices by hand. For your life, we live in a world of instant gratification. Everything is designed to be fast and automatic. To protect your mind and your future, you must build intentional speed bumps. Pause before you react, wait 30 days before you buy a want, and think before you speak. Slowing down gives you control. Lesson 3. True wealth is freedom, not status. The story lesson: Richard made $250,000 but spent it all, leaving him trapped. Maya made $60,000 but saved $25,000, giving her total freedom over her time. For your life, do not confuse looking rich with being wealthy. True wealth is not about owning flashy things to impress strangers. True wealth is owning your time, having peace of mind, and being able to walk away from toxic situations. Every dollar you save is a tiny worker buying you a day of freedom. Lesson 4. Your actions show what you truly value. The story lesson: your daily budget is a mirror. If you say family is important, but your ledger shows you spend zero time or money on them, you are lying to yourself. For your life, stop listening to what you say you care about and start looking at what you actually do. Your calendar and your bank statement tell the truth about who you are. Align your daily actions with your true soul and values. Lesson 5. Practice contentment through care, Monozukuri. The story lesson. Instead of chasing newness, look at what you already own. Polish your old shoes, clean your old phone, and find satisfaction in maintenance. For your life, the world wants you to feel constant dissatisfaction, so you keep searching for the next new thing. But happiness does not come from consumption. It comes from appreciation. Take care of your health, your relationships, and your belongings. Learn to love what you already have while you work for what you want. Lesson 6. Look at mistakes as a scientist, not a judge, Hansei. The story lesson. The monthly review is not about beating yourself up or feeling shame. It is about data collection so you can do better next month. For your life, you will fail. You will make mistakes, waste time, and fall off track. When this happens, do not waste energy on guilt. Treat yourself like a scientist studying a behavioral experiment. Ask calmly, why did I do that? What was the trigger? How can I improve next time? Continuous improvement, Kaizen, is a steady path of small steps. Summary checklist for life. Patch the leaks. Stop the bad habits before seeking bigger rewards. Pay yourself first. Invest in your future before spending on temporary fun. Delay gratification. Give your emotions 30 days to cool off before making big moves. Own your time. Aim for freedom, not a fancy lifestyle. Remember the ultimate vow. I master my choices. They do not master me. Learn English from this story. 1. Key business and financial vocabulary. These are essential words used in the modern professional and financial world. Income. The total money you earn from a job or business. Example. He has a high income, but he also has high expenses. Expenses. The money you spend on things. Example. Rent and groceries are my biggest monthly expenses. Fixed expenses. Bills that stay the same every month and must be paid, like rent or car insurance. Budget. A plan that shows how much money you can spend and how much you should save. Scarcity. A state where there is not enough of something. Example. The drought caused a scarcity of water. Gratification. A feeling of pleasure or satisfaction. Example. Buying toys online gives people instant gratification. 2. Idioms and phrasal verbs. Native English speakers love using these phrases. Learning them will make you sound much more natural. To slip through your fingers, to disappear quickly before you can stop it. In the story, money slips through people's fingers when they don't track it. To stand side by side, to stand right next to each other, facing the same direction. To set in, panic set in when a feeling starts to happen and spread. Example, when the lights went out, panic set in. Bone dry, completely dry, 100% empty of liquid. Example, the desert ground was bone dry. To look something directly in the eye, or face to confront a problem bravely and honestly without hiding. In the story, Kakeibo forces you to stare your spending in the face. To pay yourself first, a financial rule where you put money into your savings account before you spend money on anything else. Final thoughts. So, the ledger of your life is entirely in your hands. Are you going to keep running in the rain with a leaky bucket, or are you ready to pick up the pen and build a solid cup? Remember, wealth isn't a race to see who can earn the most. It's a quiet practice of seeing who can buy their freedom first. Your 7-day challenge starts right now. No apps, no spreadsheets. Just handwrite every single cent you spend and prepare to be shocked by what you find. Before you go, let's start the habit right here in the comments. Confess your number one guilty pleasure expense below, whether it's that daily premium coffee, mobile game purchases, or ordering rides when you could easily walk. Drop your confession and write down the sacred vow of Kakeibo. I master my money. It does not master me. If this video helped you see wealth differently, hit that like button, subscribe for more mindful life lessons, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay mindful and go buy your freedom.